Okay, we're back in turn one, and this time we're taking a look at the Russian movement, and we're just going to work ourselves down from north to south on the map. So let's look here. We have two T-34s. Now, one thing to keep in mind about this is that as we look at our attack rating, we want to make sure we know we're in green. 5 hexes away is all they can do. So they need to use cover to the extent possible in order to advance their claims most. So we're going to go, and I'm going to move these two as a group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Now let's take a look at our line of sight here real quick. So we would have line of sight in open terrain between here and here. Unfortunately, this ridge line is going to be blocking terrain to see down to here because of the elevation change. So consequently, there's no line of sight there just yet. These guys can't see across. Maybe these guys could, but they've got the city here, and then of course the rest of these guys have blocking terrain with the forest. All right, let's go back over. We're going to grab these guys, and we know that we've got to stay like 5 hexes out from these dudes here. We can always move and fight, which is, I think, what we're going to have to do in this particular case. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for our Russian units, I'm going to mark these as moved. Our Russian heavy units are these Su-152s. Now, those are great against pretty much everything except other armor. They've only got about a quarter advantage over the T-34s, so they're not awesome necessarily. So what we're going to do is try to keep them back a little bit just because of their range. So in this particular case, I want to move them into a position such that I can affect most. And I think what we're going to do is really look to fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down to here when combat rolls around. So we may keep them here for the time being and try to play spoiler with these T-34s right here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that'll keep them shielded here, but notice they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can see back up into the city should things go wrong. So we're kind of keeping a little arc of guys down through here. All right, so let's mark some additional movement here. All right. And now we look at our close assault phase. So we do have an opportunity for close assault here to here. I don't think we're going to be doing that. So we're going to, at this point, proceed with the housekeeping phase, which pulls all of these moved markers off the board. Now in this game, you'll notice that we didn't do combat in this turn. And the reason why is because we don't actually have a combat phase until, and it is before the actual movement. So if we look up here and come over, we can take a quick look at the sequence of play. In this case, the sequence of play, we determine initiative, we draw our action cards, we do our rally phase, then we fire, and the fire phase is sequential, so it goes back and forth with each individual fire action. We have our movement phase following, close combat or close assault phase, housekeeping phase, aid and focus phase, which is what we're at now, and then our advanced turn marker. So let's take a look at what the focus and aid phase are. So we have these two counters here. And one is for aid, which allows you to re-roll morale die, and you get to re-roll the number of times that you see the dice icon, the D10 icon on here. So during your aid phase, you have the opportunity to do a handful of things, but primarily speaking, you're either adding them to the board, moving them around, or you are flipping them over from 1 to 2. They go from off the board onto the board on their 1 die side. And so in this particular case, we'll start with the Germans. And for those Germans, I think we're going to be focused right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put both the aid marker and the focus marker on the same hex. And that'll help us with that frontline fight inside of the city. For the Russians, however, we're going to put the aid marker here, but we're going to put the focus marker here. And the reason why is when we go to have that fight between our Su-152s and the Panzer IV, who's sitting down here at the bottom of the map, we want to make sure that that's going to be something where we can be as successful as possible. So that was actually it. We advanced the turn marker. That's the last part of the turn, and now we're on to turn 2.